Hey everyone, what's up and welcome back to VLOGMAS here on my channel. If you're new here, I am Liz. I am a full-time out-of-the-home working mom of two, wife to my awesome husband Ben. I say awesome because, yeah, he thinks he's awesome and he will tell you that straight to your face. Anywho, this video is going to be me making chicken pot pie soup. If you are a returning subscriber, thank you, and thank you for coming back. If you're new here, hello and welcome. Like I already mentioned, I am Liz, and in this past Sunday's video, I made chicken pot pie soup in it. These are all clips that are from the video that I wanted to do in a standalone video for you, so I can just explain it a little more. So the base of this soup is obviously we have our celery and our onions, and then there's potatoes, and then chicken stock, all of the jazz, the basic necessities that you need for a soup. So here I am chopping up my onion and my celery, and you're going to see me add it into my Dutch oven. The one I'm using is the Hearth and Hand Dutch oven that I got from Target on clearance, and I love it. It is absolutely amazing. And in the pan that's right next to it, that saucepan, I am boiling chicken. These clips, like I mentioned in my previous video, are all out of order, and I don't know why I did it on purpose, but I did do it on purpose for some god-awful reason. But here you see I'm adding seasonings to this. That is garlic powder, and then I'm going to add in some celery salt. Celery salt is a completely underrated seasoning. Highly recommend you try it. And some ground black pepper. I try not to add too much sodium into certain things just to make sure that, it's not super salty. I'm also adding in some bouillon cubes. So this is chicken bouillon cubes just to add more of that chicken flavor into it. And I also do the same thing into my pan with my boiling chicken. I am adding Italian seasoning into that pan right now, and I am going to let that cook for a little bit. If you've never boiled chicken before, it makes it super easier so you can shred it or for soups or anything like that. And I also just added some onion salt, allium seasoning, and then some onion powder into my Dutch oven as well. Give that a nice little zhuzh and then let it cook down. That way all of the flavors definitely come together. Here I am, lid on it, just making sure that it cooks. Here now the chicken is done and I'm ready to strain it. So what I did with this is I ended up straining the chicken over another bowl so it would catch all of the stock. That way I could use that back in my Dutch oven for the basically kind of like the base, or help the base of my soup come together. So chicken stock works really well, or chicken broth works really well for soups as a nice base. And see, that is 4 cups of chicken stock that I have adding back into my Dutch oven. That way I have that soup aspect to it. And obviously here comes my potatoes, so I'm just going to give them a nice rough chop. That way I cut them. So basically I think I quartered them. Yeah, I quartered these potatoes, or just cut them. You'll see how I cut them. It's nothing fancy. It's nothing fancy at all. Yeah, quartered them. This is a bag of the little potatoes. It's a mix of little Yukons and little red potatoes. It's whatever potato tickles your fancy. It doesn't have to be perfect to a T for this recipe whatsoever. I cook the way I cook. I will follow a recipe book. I will follow certain recipes, but there are some times where if I'm making something and I know what it needs, and I will literally cook it the way that my brain thinks it needs to be cooked. So whatever amount of seasonings I need to add into it, whatever ingredients I think it needs, I will add into it. And it's whatever I feel is palatable, whatever tastes good on my palate, that's what I put into whatever I'm cooking. I know that's extremely long-winded, but sometimes people don't understand how people can just naturally cook. It's just, I grew up in a household where we had the same thing each week we literally had the same meals. So I wanted to make sure when I became a mom that my children would be able to experience different foods. Here is a nice little cleaning intermission. This is actually before I started cooking, but I wanted to keep that odd flow that I have of all of these clips being completely out of whack, and just show you that I literally clean as I go. So those dishes are not there when you saw the previous clips. Those are from before I started cleaning, and this is from before I started cooking. This obviously is before I started cooking. I wanted to make sure that my surfaces were nice and clean before I started cooking. That's any cook will tell you that in the kitchen. You want to make sure that everything is clean before you start, and you clean as you go. And that's how I always work in my kitchen and how it functions very well as I cook, especially in the holiday season. So like these clips right here, this should actually go before everything else, because this is the chicken that I boiled to make the chicken stock, but it's still showing you how I did certain things. So in this pan, I added an entire package of chicken thighs, boneless, skinless chicken thighs, in this pan with 2.5 cups of water, and I added in 2 bouillon cubes into it, and then I put it on medium heat for 45 minutes, and I just let it boil. Easiest way to cook chicken. If you want an easy way, do it this way. And here I'm opening the bouillon cubes, putting it in, and then I just cover it and I leave it alone. And after this clip, you're going to end up seeing me cut this chicken, which this chicken tasted so good. Sorry if you hear like a hiccup or anything like that. My breathing is still kind of labored and things like that with the bronchitis, so it's one of those things that I'm working with, and then the hiccups is something brand new. I haven't been able to kick them. But that's completely besides the point. This chicken stock that I made with this chicken, and cooking this chicken to eat in this way is literally the easiest thing you can do. If you've never made homemade chicken stock, I highly recommend you try doing it, because it is very easy and it comes in clutch for everything that you cook. Instead of paying $2.19 for a thing of chicken stock or veggie stock or beef stock or broth or fish stock or shrimp stock, whatever it is you need, instead of paying that extra money for it already prepped, you could literally do it at home. Here's the chicken that I cooked, and here I'm just giving it a nice rough chop. I'm not doing anything super fancy, just chopping it the way that I think I need to for my soup, which is small bite-sized pieces. And I just roughly chop it on my cutting board, and then I add it into my soup, give it a nice little stir, and then I go from there. So now that all the chicken is cut, I am adding it into my Dutch oven, and then I'm going to give it a nice stir to really incorporate all of that chicken. You see here how the broth looks. It has that tinge of like the goldeny color, and then you see the celery. Well, I'm going to be adding a can of cream of chicken soup. I know it's kind of counterproductive because there's little pieces of chicken in it, but it helps thicken your base. And then I'm also adding a can of carrots and peas, because you cannot have soup without carrots and peas. This is a necessity. You can fight me on it, but man, it just it's part of that mirepoix that you need for every single recipe you use. So here is just a small can of cream of chicken soup, and I'm just adding that in and giving it a nice little stir. After you do this, just let it heat up for maybe like 3 to 5 minutes, and then you're good to go. I ended up letting this simmer on the stove, so it really came together. It was nice and rich and creamy. I let it sit on the stove on low for about an hour and a half, and it was so delicious. You could also put probably dumplings in this. I ended up making biscuits, and we just dipped our biscuits in it. It was so good. So that, my friends, is the end of this video. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I hope it inspires you to maybe try something new in your kitchen. This is super simple, super quick. This is like less than $10 meal for your family. But I'll see you guys in my next Vlogmas video. Bye, guys. I dive into you when summer's fading. There's nothing